right, let's get it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this and you're tuned into the only sports podcast with brains and bars, and tonight full of NBA talk. It's another episode of It's a Black and White Thing. I am 1/3 of the dynamic trio. My name is A1. You can call me Carlos. You can call me Dan. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, searching for Brains and Bars. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Give us 5 stars, please. Please, we appreciate it if you could. And you can also check out most episodes of the podcast on our YouTube page by going to YouTube, searching for Brains and Bars. Please, again, share, rate, you leave comments. We love to hear comments. We love to get feedback. And also to the live audience, thank you for those who will tune in over the next hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour. We'll just see what the time and the conversation takes us. If you're on Facebook, please share the broadcast. Please give us a like. If you're on YouTube, please share the broadcast and comment, jump in the comments. And if you're on Periscope, once again, on Twitter, please share this broadcast and jump into the comments. I can see them all. We'll post them on the screen. If you have questions, comments, while we have this discussion, we love to have you guys involved. In my homies' absences, you can go to iamaward.com for everything Award related, merch, music, and battles. Same thing for Loso. Everything Loso.com for merch, music, and battles. Homie Loso actually has a battle coming up in a couple of weeks. Kings versus Queens 2 versus Vixen. URL Caffeine. Please check that out and support. To all of the new or all of the regulars to the show, thank you. We appreciate you guys rocking with us over these past, I think, like 5 years. We appreciate you. To those who are new to the show, welcome. Each week we go live. I normally lead off the show with what I learned this week. And so I learned a couple of things this week. Actually, 3 things. The first thing I want to get into is the first thing I learned was so me and my homies normally have a back and forth, right? We have this back and forth about getting dunked on or getting crossed over, which is worse, right? And I got a couple of homies who are misguided, who believe that getting crossed is worse than getting dunked on, right? Well, last week we had a dunk happen that to me that shuts down that argument for all eternity. Like we can't have this discussion no more, right? Anthony Edwards, Minnesota Timberwolves, exploded, detonated, yammed on, posterized, ended. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure if I go to Yuta Watanabe's Wikipedia page, somebody probably put the edit in that recorded his time of death as whatever time it was when Anthony Edwards dunked on him. I'm gonna try to share my screen. Now, I don't normally share my screen during broadcasts, but y'all got to see this too. And I'm probably gonna put it on the YouTube as well. But hold on, let me see if I can get this right. Because y'all got to see this. Y'all got to see this live. I'm not gonna wait until, let's see. Can we make it happen? Can you see that, Perry?
I can see that. It's loading.
Look at this. Look at this. Like, what are we talking about? Getting dunked on greater than times infinity than getting crossed over. If you get crossed over, you got to make the shot. Right? You gotta make the shot. If you don't make the shot, it does not matter. But getting yammed on like this, like in front of your parents, in front of your girl, in front of your countrymen, like no, dog. So I'm going to ask you this, Perry. Hopefully you can weigh in on this debate as well. Which is worse, getting dunked on or getting crossed over?
Look, it ain't no question. It is definitely getting dunked on. I think it's a fact because we clearly remember all the missed dunks and we remember less of the missed crossover. And just the simple fact that when you do a dunk, the play is over. If someone crosses you and then they miss the shot, we'll forget about it. So it's no question. It is getting dunked on. Like you said, my boy Watanabe, we only know his name now because he got dunked on. All right. We don't talk about Wesley Johnson getting crossed by James Harden as much as we talk about James Harden crossing whoever that was over. I only know because I'm a big basketball fan. But we know Watanabe, and we might not ever hear from him again. simply because he got dunked on by that boy, whoo, Anthony Edwards.
Man. And let me say this, like, and to me, one of the defining arguments of whether it's worse to get dunked on or worse to or get crossed over is I don't see too many top 10 poster or top 10 crossover moments in NBA history. Right? Like I can't name a ton of them. Right? Like you might see AI, you might see like a highlights package of AI's crossovers, Kyrie's, Tim Hardaway's. You might see a who had the best crossover in NBA history. You can go find the internet is littered with top 10 posters of all time. Like we can name off the top of our head. Okay, we got Wade on Verjao. We got Kevin Johnson. Is that on Olajuwon? Duncan on Olajuwon, I believe it is. You got Jordan over Ewing. You got Pippen over Ewing. You got Starks dunking on like 3-4. Like I can just start rattling off these dunks off the top of my head. Crossovers, AI Jordan. Yeah, that's the list. Like I can't give you anything else. So I mean, like the argument is over. The argument is over, and yeah, man. Matter of fact, I was so hyped to get into this. I didn't even give you a proper introduction. Please forgive my rudeness, brother. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. So
It's
joining us tonight, he is an NBA media personality. I was introduced to him. I saw shout out to the homie 83. I believe we have that connection in common. He was like, yo, you need to check this guy out, get him on your show. You were interviewing Spencer Dinwiddie with a really dope conversation, a wide-ranging conversation, but he is NBA media personality, Perry Randle III, joining us to break down the NBA, talk NBA on It's a Black and White Thing. Brother, a pleasure to have you on, man. If there's anything you want to plug, whether you're Twitter, Facebook, anything, go ahead. Let's get jumping to that.
Hey man, my social media handle is at prandle, Randle. I know sometimes people spell it a little different, but it's at prandle, I that means the third. And just an extra introduction. I've never been dunked on. I've never been crossed. I just want to let y'all know that right now. All right. Don't be trying to look up nothing on Google about P Randle 3 getting crossed because you ain't gonna find it. All right.
Hilarious. Shout out to the homie A Ward in the comments talking about I'm wilding, bro. I'm not wilding. Like it's the truth. Getting dunked on. Let me tell you something. I remember the time. So I've never been dunked on. It almost happened to me though, and I'll never forget it. Freshman year, at Lincoln Prep, playing in a tournament. Entire school is there. I forget what it was. It might have been a fundraiser for homecoming or something like that. Entire school is in there. We playing. I'm playing with a bunch of freshmen against another group of freshmen. And this freshman squad had all the dudes who was like on the freshman team. Some of them might have been playing varsity. And we're playing. A turnover happens. I'm the only one back. And Solomon, shout out to Solomon, man. Solo has a free run at the rim. I decide, hey, I'm an athlete. I'm a young man. I decide I'm going to jump with him. I tried to jump with him. I go up. He go up. And I reach my apex. Here he comes. He reaches my apex. And he kept going. And next thing I know, all I hear is, oh, we both crashed to the ground. Thankfully, I can see the ball going like 10 feet up in the air because he didn't make it. Bro, listen, if there's one thing we can learn from this, Yuta, I want you to, I don't know how much you know about American culture, about American music, but I want you to go find this song by Tina Turner. It's from the Thunderdome soundtrack. Back in the 80s, it's called We Don't Need Another Hero, brother. Listen. We don't need another hero. We don't need another. Don't worry about it. Let him have them 2 points. You can retain your dignity, and we won't have to know. We would never know who you are. I didn't know who this cat was until last week. So, like you said, again, let us know what you think, man. What's worse, getting dunked on or crossed over? And believe me, there is a right answer to this question. There is a right answer, and it's getting dunked on.
Let me go ahead and tell a good story that's similar to yours. It's a little different outcome. So I went to Winnetonka High School up north, and we were playing Park Hill, and it's like one of the first games of the season. And on the other team, on Park Hill's team, they have Landry Shamet. Now, this is before his game became strictly shooting. This was when he was a full athlete, getting recruited by Wichita State. So he's feeling great. He's putting on a show for all the recruiters, yada yada yada. So, like kind of like your story, there's a fast break that's going on. I'm running down the court, and I'm the first one back, and I see him just coming with the ball. Mind you, I got 20/20 vision with these goggles on that I got on. So I have a clear vision of what's about to happen. So I was like, I've just seen this way too many times. I promise you, I'm thinking about all of this as he's coming towards me. I was like, I've seen this way too many times, and too many people know me at my school for this to happen. All right. So I go ahead and make that business decision to move out the way. He dunks it. Coach takes me out. I promise you, I ain't never been so happy to be subbed out in my life. All right. Because I knew I was going to be on his highlight tape for the rest of my life. And I just cannot, especially since he's in the NBA right now, I just cannot let it happen. So I said, I'm good.
Yep. That's what's up. Hey, that's what's up, man. I appreciate it. So so Perry, I told you that we might have somebody jump in here, and shout out to let me make sure he's called he's called himself the crossover. The homie A Ward is jumping into the discussion here. All right, I'm gonna add you to the stream, A Ward, but know that I reserve the right to kick you out if you get up in here talking crazy. Hey Ward, what's going on, man?
You can't. It's no echo, right? Because I'm just on my phone. Sometimes when the noise comes through.
You good?
First off, Perry, thank you so much for joining the show, bro. I appreciate you most definitely.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, A1's gonna talk about himself a whole lot. Even if he invited you to come on to the show, he's gonna tell all the stories about his high school basketball days and all that good stuff, But just keep it moving. But I just want to say this much. You know what the 72-hour rule is, right? The 72-hour rule is like if you just ignore it, you'll forget about it, right?
Okay.
Most of the time, when you get dunked on, there's a 72-hour rule, right? Now, mind you, we're not forgetting about the Anthony Edwards dunk. But the reason why you said you got AI and Jordan, and that's all you can think of, right, is because it doesn't happen often. So if you get crossed up crazy, you're going to be on that list, and you're going to be one of the top 5 ever, because it don't happen like when you get dunked on. So what I'm saying is,
where's the list?
If you cross me up something crucial, probably Curry. It might not even be a crossover. Maybe Curry in and out of the Clippers. Was it the Clippers?
Yep, the whole team.
I mean, that wasn't necessarily a crossover. That was like some Harlem Globetrotter stuff. Now, if you say him when he stepped on CP3's shoe, right? And he stepped on the shoe, and then like he kind of wobbled. I give you that, even though it wasn't a real crossover, because he stepped on the shoe.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I mean, obviously there's a lot of instances where people get a little push off or whatever like that, and we usually like, it's cool for like number 4 on the top 10 on ESPN for that night or whatever, or something like that. But if you really get crossed over in a game, bro, the whole fall down, the fact that he doesn't even have to make the shot for it to be like lethal and detrimental to your whole existence, man. Because when you get dunked on, they got to make it. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying is like it's so rare and few and far in between that somebody really gets disgustingly crossed, So that's why to me, man, yeah. And plus, like as a defender, like you can get dunked on playing good defense. When you get crossed, you was not playing good defense.
I disagree. I think that's the only way you can get crossed if you're playing good defense.
Okay, yeah, maybe you was just not fast enough. You just lacked in one category of your defense.
Hey, I will agree with you though on this, is that the crossover highlights are definitely more rare.
Yeah.
But I will say that John Morant over Kevin Love dunk is still talked about to this day, and he missed it.
He didn't even get it. He didn't even. That's the one where he like jumped from like the free throw line, right?
Somewhere around there. He took off. Trampoline was on the court that day.
Yeah, it was something.
And he didn't even land a dunk. When we talk about, that's all I'm saying, bro. Like it's worse, man. Shout out to the people in the comments, man. Shout out to the homie Gritty. He says dunked on hands down. Shout out to the homie Los. He said, bro, I think he was talking about me, bro. Been dunked on before. I
got dunked on. I got dunked on in high school. I got dunked on in high school on a putback dunk. I was trying to box out. I mean, I was trying to box. I wasn't fake like, I just turned around and boxed out. Dude missed it. Another dude came just on top of like that. Wham! Just had to hold on. Yeah. It wasn't fun, but I mean, my back was turned to him. I was boxing out. I was doing what I was supposed to.
But see, those aren't bad. Like, it's not that bad when it's the putback because you don't know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, actually, somebody did get me on the oop, right? Like, I didn't know the oop was coming. I thought I was gonna be able to get to the pass, and all of a sudden, somebody, you feel this presence on your back. You're like, yo, bro, where you come from? But yeah. But let us know what y'all think. Right.
We're creatures of the whole prisoner of the moment thing. If last week, a point guard would have crossed somebody up so ridiculous that everybody was talking about it, everybody's mind right now would be on getting crossed up. Like we love the Anthony. I love the Anthony Edwards dunk. I posted it a million times or whatever. But I also do think that a lot of people are like right now are just feeling the pain of the young boy that for some reason risked his NBA career on that. So
yeah. So let us know what y'all think, man. What's worse, getting dunked on, getting crossed over? Hit us up, Facebook, Twitter, IG, search Brains and Bars. So the other thing I learned, I got two more things. So second thing I learned was, another talking about viral moments. This weekend, Cam Newton was at a 7-on-7 tournament. Young boy decided to get look, I get it, right? You're an athlete, you're a young athlete. You think you're one of the best in the world at that age. And he ran up on Cam Newton, started talking a little crazy to him, called him trash. He called him another word, but it's a family show, so I won't call him what he's telling. Won't repeat what he said. He said he was trash. He said he was a free agent. Cam tried to talk some sense to the young boy, asked where his father was, so on and so forth. And listen, man, I learned that sometimes humility can take. You need to. You as an athlete, you have to have confidence. You have to have cockiness, but at the same time, you got to know when to be humble. And that young man, in that moment, like, you can have some fun back and forth with Cam, but when you start to get disrespectful, and I've seen people try to defend it. Let me tell y'all something. If my mama saw me online talking like that to a grown man, forget about Cam Newton, just another grown person. If my mama saw me talking like that online, you better believe I would be online on IG live within the hour saying, I would just like to extend my humble apologies to Mr. Newton. I apologize for the language I used and the way I was talking. I was raised better than that, and I apologize to my parents. Like, bro, like, I get it. It's okay. Talk your talk, young man. Be confident, but please know when and where to talk that talk. It's cool to talk to your peers. It's cool to talk to them boys, but you talking about a guy, again, and people have kind of, talked about it. Acho has some great comments about shut up and listen. But someone who's been where you're trying to go, who has made, like Cam said, I'm rich, who's made millions of dollars, someone who could buy you if he really wanted to, and so be humble, talk your talk, but know when to hold them and when to fold them. You know what I mean? So that was the second thing I learned this week was, and to me, like, the people who were getting on Cam, I didn't really understand. The people who were defending him, I like my professional athletes to be braggadocious. I don't like the Russell Wilsons of the world who are just like, don't tell you nothing, don't say nothing, real humble. Like, talk your talk. Like, professional athletes are the 1%ers of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a finite number of jobs in professional sports, and they got them from the best player to the bum, because the bum could step into any gym in America and wash us. You know what I'm saying? So talk your talk, but again, know when to play the humble route. So that's the second thing I learned this week. Last thing I learned this week is episode 38. I believe me and my wife did a review of The Bachelorette when Rachel Lindsay, the first Black Bachelor or Bachelorette to ever appear on the franchise, happened, and that's coming again. We doing it again. If you've been watching The Bachelor, Matt James, first African-American male to be the Bachelor on the series. I think he's down to the final 3. They just had hometowns. So fellas, tell your girls, or if you watch The Bachelor, join me. Because once we have the finale, we going live on the channel. We break down the Bachelor finale, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great time. gonna be a great time. We're gonna talk about everything, baby. Listen, I only watch the franchise when Black
Where's
people
that
are involved.
little around the horn thing where I could take the points away from you or like mute you? I'm over here like, all right, Kalashaw, get off the screen.
Hey, we back. That episode did good numbers too. But we back. We're gonna be live on the channel. We talking everything Bachelor related to this season. We're gonna have a good time. So those are the things that I learned this week, man. Y'all can hit me up what y'all learn on Facebook, Twitter, IG at Brains and Bars. Wars issue here. You know what you're looking forward to this week.
But you know one thing about Tennessee fans, right? Tennessee Vol fans are the best fans in the world, right? And here's why. Because football season starts, and then by the sixth game, we're 3-3, and we write off the football team, and then we're like, yo, our basketball team is going to be crazy this year. So we start watching basketball, right? And then basketball season starts, and we're supposed to be top 10 in the nation, and then we start falling off, and we're at 25th. And guess what? Our baseball team is number 15 right now. They won 21-1 last night. They dropped 8 runs in the first inning tonight. This week, I'm now a Tennessee baseball fan, and I'm to be determined on what happens in basketball. So that's what I'm glued to this week is watching our baseball team get back to Omaha, hopefully.
All right. So, Perry, if you can't tell by all the Tennessee gear he's wearing, he's a volunteer fan.
I need to wipe my glasses real quick. Hold on. I saw it clearly.
But shout out to the homie Shock. He says nobody watches The Bachelor. Watch the numbers this live do when I trust me. But anyway, let's get to the topic of the hour. We want to jump into this NBA talk, man. This is why we invited Perry here. We're glad to have him with us. So I wanted to start this off by just simply asking, like you talked about playing ball in high school, but like when did you fall in love, or when did you know yo, this is a sport that I'm really in tune with, that you want to cover? When did you fall in love with basketball?
To be honest, man, I've been dribbling the ball since I came out the womb. I can't even lie to you. I'm just playing. This is probably around like y'all was shaking y'all head. Y'all was going with it. I love it. Y'all was about to let me just go.
Look, ain't nothing wrong with a little hyperbole. You know what I'm saying? I was with you.
No, but I've been playing since I was probably about 3. My dad, he gave me a ball, picked me up and let me put the ball in the basket. And then after that, it's just always been in my system. So just always been playing it. And then, of course, just growing in it and learning it more and more. And then when it came to college, I was getting recruited, but I was like, you know what? I really don't see a future in this, not the future that I want. So I decided to just talk about basketball, and it kind of worked out for me because I began to realize that I had a gift with words. So combining that with my passion of basketball, it comes together, and it works amazing for me. As you guys can see, I'm thankful for all the blessings that God has been able to do for me so far. But man, just playing basketball, that's all I've known my whole life.
That's what's up. So you talked about getting recruited. Like, what was that process like as you were going through like your high school years?
Honestly, man, it was hard because not because of my skill, but because my team was not good. Now, mind you, I'm on that team. I'm not doing my job either, but I was good individually. But on my team for Winnetonka, we weren't that good. We didn't win too many games, so that is why it was hard. But thankfully, I was able to still get some looks, and like I said, it was hard, so I didn't get too many. So I was like, you know what? Like I said, there was not too much of a future with this thing, so I'm going to have to switch over to something else. But there was a way for me to stay involved with basketball.
That's what's up. So is Landry Shamet, is that the best player you played against in high school?
Let me be honest. So somebody who's been to the league, yes, I'll say Landry Shamet. But the best player that I've ever played in my entire life, I have not beat him to this day. I'm going to have to find a way to just, take some pills or something. I'm going to have to go against my boy Marcus Walker, Grindhouse Basketball. Me and him, I was one of the first people that he ever trained. And so I'm in the gym with him every single day. And, there's days where I'm up 9-1, we're going to 10. And he just puts the clamps on me because he's played professionally overseas. So He know what he doing.
Yep.
Now, mind you, he is also hacking me the whole time. Don't get it twisted. The brother got some moves. Don't get it twisted. All right. But you know, he was able to like really teach me the game, and I will always say that that's the best person that I've ever played against, Marcus Walter.
So like coming up, like who are the guys that you tried to emulate with your game?
I always look to the league. I've always been a fan of the NBA. I never really get into like college unless it's March Madness. But when it comes to the NBA, Kobe was always number one for me. He just was my Jordan for like the past generation. They had their Jordan. He was my Jordan. And as I learned more about the game, I was able to learn the other aspects of the game. So with that being said, I would think because Kobe retired, I had to find somebody new. So like right now, my favorite is Dame Dollar. So he wasn't really a part of me growing up, but
Yeah.
Dame Dollar was probably my favorite player right now. But growing up, it was just Kobe. That's it. He did everything. I don't think he ever had a flaw in his game. So I didn't need to look for anybody else. And I'm not no Shaq. I don't have no Shaq build. I'm 6 foot. So I'm like, all right, let me just work on some footwork or something. And that's what I learned from Kobe.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, cool. So let's since you brought up Kobe in the NBA, let's go ahead and transition into that and let's talk about the league thus far. So I want to get your perspective on this. So like, you know, when COVID hit and lockdown happened and you know, basketball went away for about 4 or 5 months. So I think it shut down in March. It didn't come back till August. And you know, they decided not to do the bubble again this year for, you know, several reasons. But I wanted to get your take on how has the viewing experience been for you while watching watching the NBA in this COVID era with either no fans or of severely limited capacity?
Well, I think specifically for me, it hasn't really affected me just because I'm so in tune of what's actually going on. I don't even notice that there's no fans there. I'm so focused on like the type of defense that the other team is playing and the way they run the pick and rolls and what they're looking for and all that type of stuff. So I really don't notice any like not the fans not being there. Maybe like when they show like a low view and you can just see like the team's logo in the background, that's when I'll notice it. But other than that, I really don't notice it. But now they like making a big thing about fans coming back into the arena. So now I am becoming more aware of it, like how they allow fans into Madison Square Garden the other night and also Barclays Center. So I'm starting to see it. Like I'm happy for the fans that are going back to the games, but I can understand from a general audience perspective, like, man, you don't feel that energy. I'm sure the players feel the same way too. I heard LeBron talk about it, how it's just a different atmosphere. There's no energy, and they really miss the fans.
Yeah, and I'm of that same mind and that same perspective. Like for me, when they first came back into the bubble, I was hyped, right? Because this is sports coming back. Like they were one of the second league. I think NHL might have started a little bit before them. MLB, I don't know if MLB had, but you know, like I was hyped to see them come back. The basketball was really good in the bubble. Lots of close games, lots of classic games. But like, and I've talked to this with the homies. I'm like, yo, the view to me, the NBA, not just the NBA, but college too. And Ward, I'll have you speak to that in a second. Like the viewing experience with not having the fans there in the arena, from a college basketball perspective, not having that band there, not having those cheerleaders there to hear them cheer while the thing like it's dope because it feels like rec league a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like open run where like you go play ball at the gym and you can hear everybody yelling, switch, cut, go. Like you can hear all the commands and all the back and forth. Like it's dope from that perspective. But man, I cannot wait until we get out of this COVID situation and we can hear, you know, you can see, you know, Dame hit a game winner or like Luka, right? Luka hits the game winner last night and, you know, the place explodes because Luka just hit this step back three, you know, to seal the game. So Ward, I wanted to like get your thoughts again, being a college guy, right? Like you're more college than NBA. Like what has your viewing experience been watching like the college game?
Yeah, it's rough, man. I watched Kansas and Texas last night, and you know it was in Texas. It's 14 against 17. Went to overtime. Texas ended up winning by a point. Down the stretch, you got foul calls, you got all kinds of stuff going on, and you're just thinking to yourself like, man, this crowd would be rocking right now. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, imagine Buddy Hield against Texas. I remember he dropped Buddy Hield against KU. I remember he dropped like
Yep.
40 something in like a
Yep.
double overtime game. And after the game, like Lawrence like gives him a standing ovation as he's walking. You know what I mean? Like it's moments like that in the college realm you're missing out on. Not to mention like these guys go to college for a year or something like that. And when you're walking around college as a KU basketball player, you're like big man on campus. I'm a KU basketball player, the student section in college. Everybody comes to see you play in person. It's kind of like just another aura or another thing that you can attribute to your confidence in life going on to the NBA or your swag or whatever it may seem, So I often wonder what it's like for the one and done guys in college that are just there playing in in front of 5,000 to 7,000, people. Let's be honest, you can't even in that 5,000 or 7,000 get close to each other. So it's not like a cohort of 16 or 24 or 50 people are over here getting crazy or anything like that. So it is definitely takes a lot from it in the college game. I've been critical before up until like the Oklahoma City Thunder fans of just NBA games not really having that type atmosphere. But then you saw the Thunder started to provide an atmosphere, when they were going through their runs with, Russell and KD and them of that college-like feeling. And then there's been some other teams, like you said, like Portland and different things that I've kind of missed out on. But I'm parrying this one, like when I'm watching the NBA, like I don't know, I don't pay too much attention to the crowd as much as I do in the college realm. But as a basketball player, like I can imagine that it is just to me, like you almost get lost in it. The shot clock's winding down, the crowd's making noise. It's the fourth quarter. The crowd's going crazy. They're standing up in the last 2 minutes because every possession's huge. You know what I mean? So like those type of things are what you're missing out on. So yeah, I'm ready for them to get back. So
I will say that I was thinking about it while you guys were talking. The one time that I was like, man, this would be crazy if the fans were here. And it was not even in the game. It was ring night for the Lakers. And I'm just thinking about after Kobe had passed away, LeBron gets his first ring with the Lakers, just all of that. I'm just sitting there, especially after having to watch like all the ring nights that I watched when Kobe was winning rings with the Lakers. I'm just like, man, I can imagine what this would be like, especially after Kobe passed. Like this place would be going crazy. So that was the one time where I was like, man, I really wonder what it would be like if the fans were here.
And the other thing is, how many great memes are we missing out on? Like, can you imagine all the surrender cobras from the Anthony Edwards dunks, or like the kids crying in March Madness? Like, we're missing out on great material here.
Man.
Yo, and so I got the opportunity to go to Oklahoma State when they played Texas a couple of weeks ago. And they're allowing fans in the stands. I don't know how many people were there, maybe about 1,000. But like it's still like it got loud. You know what I'm saying? That game was competitive. I think it went double overtime. And like it was like again, like that atmosphere, man. Like when you're able to go to a game and be in the stand, like even though I'm not a fan of either team, like just having that energy would be dope. Right. Quick side story from that. So halftime comes, I'm outside. They got a Freddy's like concession stand. So I hit Freddy's up, get my $10 burger. That burger was $10. Get my $10 burger, sit down and eat it. And I see this cat and I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, man, this guy look mad familiar, man. He looked mad familiar. I'm like, yo, does this dude work for my company? Because we got an office in Oklahoma City. So I'm like, did he drive to Stillwater, come taking the game? I keep looking. So then I see this another gentleman beside him, pretty tall. He takes his mask off to take a sip of water. I'm like, oh, snap, that's Mike Dunleavy Jr. And so then it clicks. The dude he's standing next to is Bob Myers, the GM for the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I'm about to go holler at. I'm about to go talk to him. So I walk up to Mike Dunleavy, like, Mike Dunleavy Jr., right? He's like, yeah. And I can't say big fan. I'm not a big fan. I mean, you're Mike Dunleavy. Like,
come on, you can still say that. You know how many times you tell rappers good stuff?
Listen, bro, I was not there to talk to him. Like, I just wanted to at least acknowledge his presence. Like, I wanted to be nice and cordial. So I'm like, Mike Dunleavy Jr., right? Yeah, Mike. Cool, nice to meet you. I turn to Bob Myers and I take a step towards him. And like I didn't know he was on the phone call, right? He might have been lying to me. But he goes, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I walk away, eat my burger. I tell Jesse, because we roll with the homie Jesse up there. So I finish my food. I go to blow my nose. They're in the bathroom washing their hands, right? It's like I'm tracking them. I've been watching them. I'm like,
my
cool.
gosh.
As soon as I blow my nose and wash my hands, I'm about to ask them, like, yo, who are y'all here to see, right? Because Kobe, Kay Cunningham, and Greg Brown, right? Like those are two projected lottery picks. So they got to be there to see one of them, because I think they got Minnesota's first round pick. And I don't know how high Minnesota has it protected. Bro, I swear it was like they vanished. I was only 5 seconds behind them. Not even that. Like, bro, they walked out. I went 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi to finish wash them, drying off my hands. Gone. And I'm like, dang, like I wanted to talk to Bob Myers, yo, to see who he was there to see. But anyway, that was just a little side story. So let's continue on.
I told you it's gonna be all about him, Perry. I told you.
Cut that out, bro. I don't normally have stories. All right. So it's not about me. We're talking about the NBA with NBA media personality Perry Randle III. It's a black and white thing. NBA All-Star roster was revealed in full last night with the reserves being named. And it's a who's who, right? In the West starters, you got Doncic, you got Curry, James, Jokic, Leonard. In the East, you got Kyrie, Bill, KD, Giannis, and Embiid as the voted starters. And then I won't go through all the reserves, but unless you need me to, if I can go through them if you need me to. But I want to talk about snubs, right? Because that's the first thing that people jump into when you talk about who should have been there and wasn't there. So, Perry, I want to start with you. Like, and hold on, but I'm going to put this additional caveat in there. If you name somebody, who do you take off?
Okay.
So if you name somebody, who do you take off?
So I think the number one clear one is Devin Booker. That's, of course, what everybody's talked about. One, and then two, he deserves it. Being, I believe, fourth in the West, along with Chris Paul. Chris Paul, he gonna come to that team and do all the intangibles, but at the end of the game, who's getting the ball. It's Devin Booker, and we've seen that all season. They just blew out the number 5 seed Trailblazers the other night. But if I'm going to name him, I'm going to tell you exactly who I'm taking off, and it's got to be Zion. I do not know. Actually, I do know why. But I get that the coaches really want to see a show. But, the Pelicans, they are nowhere near the caliber of team that the Suns are. So I don't think they should have put Zion on there. And he's having a great season. Mind you, I love Zion. I love the type of person he is on and off course. I don't want to seem like a hater. But at the end of the day, when you have a team that's as good as the Phoenix Suns, I think if you're going to put Chris Paul on there, then you definitely have to put Devin Booker on there.
You're still on mute.
Appreciate it. You got anybody from the East that you think should have made it?
Oh, man. So I haven't watched enough Knicks games. Of course, they don't play too many Knicks games on national television, but I do really like Julius Randle being on there. I think the only person who really deserves consideration in the East is probably Sabonis. And when it comes to a guy like Trae Young, I don't like to reward losing. I think you got to be winning at some level. Now, understand that there's no specific criteria when it comes to being all-star, almost any award in the NBA. So it's hard to kind of, decide who's who, but I think Sabonis has the best case for being an all-star. And if you're going to take somebody out, I would probably say Nikola Vucic, because I never liked when Al Horford used to make the all-star team, just because I know he was never going to do nothing in the game. I hated it. Now, mind you, like him, he's a great player too. I love what he brings to teams, like what he's doing for Oklahoma City right now, bringing that veteran presence. But I do not want to see you in an all-star game at all. I'd really want to see you in a normal game, let alone an all-star game. So it's the same thing with Vucevic. He's a nightly double-double. I ain't gonna take nothing away from him, but I like Sabonis passing way more than I like seeing Vucevic's rebound. So that's what I would say. I would probably say Sabonis in the East.
That's hilarious. You called Vucci Man European Al Horford. That is hilarious.
That's what he is. They related somehow.
So I don't. You actually brought up a great in the West of adding Booker and removing Zion. And like when I looked at the list and kind of studied it, I was like, well, I don't really have no arguments for nobody who should be removed. But yeah, I'm like you. I think you got to reward winning, especially in basketball, because there's only 5 players on the court and there's only so many like players that you can. So there's only 5 players on the court, and you affect the game much more than you do in football or hockey or baseball, so on and so forth. And so, yeah, I think a guy like Booker and a guy like Zion, like you said, you understand why he's there, right? Because this is a made-for-TV event, and you want to see him dunk. But yeah, I would say in the East, I would take away Vucci Mane for Tobias Harris. Oh God, I said that in front of this guy. Yeah, I think
that was right. That was the wrong move.
yeah. But I think Tobias Harris has had the kind of year that is worthy of, and the best team in the East right now, at least record wise, right? So I think you have to reward that. So yeah, those are the 2 that I would have 2 changes I would have made. Ward, you got any snubs? Or are you good with the squad as is?
No, I got some snubs. Check this out. This 2 needs to be off of the All-Star. Jaylen Brown. First off,
oh no,
these bum Celtics right now aren't even 500 in the Eastern Conference, and got 2 guys on there. So if we're talking about rewarding winning, they're literally on a huge skid right now in the Eastern Conference, and got 2 guys on there. I do like Jaylen Brown. Don't get it twisted, but it's a fine line between what do I want to see in the All-Star game, like you mentioned with Vucevic, or however you pronounce his last name. And let's be honest, like I want to see Trae Young in the All-Star game. Like I like even though his team is losing or whatever, like I want to see the deep threes, the passing, all of that kind of stuff. Like that's what they don't even care. They don't even want to play the All-Star game. The only reason to play is for show. You know what I mean? And so I assume that when it comes to like the NBA Hall of Fame and different things, they factor in like how many All-Star games you went to. So it is a stat that somewhat matters in regards to being voted to the All-Star game. So I think I probably would take Jaylen Brown off and put Trae Young on. The other snub that I would call it a snub, but man, Mike Conley needs to get some kind of like he's always plays really good, and like I'm like, you know, when it's a pandemic and you're like, man, this is the year to go ahead and just throw him in there, you know, so he can be like cool. But Mike Conley, man, is nice. I like Mike Conley. I think Mike Conley probably should have maybe made it, but there's only so many slots that can be filled. And I just I don't get twisted. I like watching the Celtics. I'm watching the Celtics right now. They're down 30 to the Atlanta Hawks in the first half. Right. Wow. Like, well, it might be like 25 now or something like that, but they're just getting smoked by the Atlanta Hawks in the first half, and like they're just irritating me. So I'm kind of taking it out on Jaylen Brown a little bit, but yeah, I think that I would definitely go with that. I think that Booker's going to end up in the game. Anthony Davis is not going to play in the All-Star game. I'm pretty sure. So Booker's going to end up in there. But I do think guys like Mike Conley, Tobias Harris, like you mentioned, like I wasn't even going to say Tobias, but I mean I do think he's having a really good year. That, you know, this would be a good year for some guys like that to jump in. But for the most part, I am glad that it's not extended. They haven't extended it out. Like I imagine the NBA is going to be like, all right, let's do 16 or 18 players or something like that, you know, just because the snubs are always like a big problem or whatever. So I don't know.
I got 2 things to say to that. So first thing, if I'm going to take off one Celtic, it's got to be Jason Tatum. Not because one is better than the other, but because he had to sit out because he had COVID. And I think that Jaylen Brown was holding it down, especially with no Marcus Smart. And, you know, they're trying to figure out everything. Kimball was still trying to come back and get into his groove. So I'm going to say I would take out Jason Tatum instead of Jaylen Brown. But I do agree with your point. They are falling off right now. Yeah. But with your second point, you trying to get Mike Conley just joned on by his boys, because anytime he going to be like, I was an all-star, they going to be like, You had that pandemic all-star. Man, you better, boy, you better
Oh, there
stop.
it is.
He got an asterisk on his All-Star uniform.
Man.
But I think they should take out the if you are like a player like Al Horford, Vucevic, any of these guys are not going to put on the show, and you feel like there's somebody who would put on a show like Trey Young or maybe even Tobias Harris. Like I would like to see you give your All Star to somebody else who's actually going to use it. It's going to be
Yeah,
beneficial to the game. You could still be like an All Star, could be considered an All Star because of how well you play with your team, but you're not really going to put on a show. So I would like to see some of the players try to incorporate that if they can.
yeah, I agree.
That's what's up. Yo, let us know what y'all think, man. Hit us up on Facebook, on IG, Twitter. Let us know who do y'all think should be the who got snubbed. And if you say somebody got snubbed, you got to replace them because it's not a participation trophy. It's not a pandemic selection, right? You can't just get in because it's COVID. So everybody in. It goes against social distancing rules.
I think worse numbers. I think Sabonis made it last year, and he's actually playing better this year. So I like that pick.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so let us know what y'all think. So let's go ahead and jump to the rest of the league. So the Lakers, the 1-4 in their last 5 games. Anthony Davis has been out for a while, and so now this is some referendum on LeBron, right? Because he don't have the best player on the team, so now LeBron can't carry him. Where's anyway? So I want to ask you, Perry, like, does this even really matter, right? Like, it's just mid-February. We ain't got football no more. Lakers are down a little bit. So now this is just a hot topic because we got to talk about something on these shows.
Yeah, that's just a hot topic, especially LeBron James. It's just the way it is. Anytime any of his teams have starting to fall off, they've proven themselves when it comes playoff time. So it ain't nothing to worry about when it comes to this team. And also, they're also missing Dennis Schroeder right now. He's been dealing with health and safety protocols. So it's just what comes with LeBron James team. But anytime there's an injury or like health and safety protocols that teams are facing, I always think of it as a blessing in disguise. So guys like Kuzma, guys like Harrell, guys like Wesley Matthews, all these other guys, they can really find their groove. So then, they're able to be the best version of themselves, maybe that they weren't able to be when Anthony Davis was playing or Dennis Schroeder was out there. So it's going to be a blessing in disguise for the Lakers in the end. And LeBron James, he always finds a way to make everything work. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, and shout out before we continue the discussion. My profile doesn't show comments on the channel, so Mikey, shout out to Mikey. He said A-World wants to see the handles and nutmeg action. That's why he wants Trey to make the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And shout out to the homie Greg. Greg says he would replace. Oh, Book is officially in for AD. AD's out for injury, so Devin Booker is now officially an All-Star. So congratulations to him on getting his first appearance. That's pretty dope. So do you think that, but given how the Lakers are kind of in this funk right now, and you talked about some role players getting a chance to shine, do you think they should try to see if they can make some move at the deadline to add some more depth?
I think that they should probably take a look at Boogie. Just having a veteran presence and the physicality that he brings to teams. And, of course, he was on the team last year before he got hurt. So just, finding a way to revamp his stint with the Lakers. But I would say maybe him. And I'm not really sure of like any notable free agents off the top of my head right now that they would get as far as like swingman or guards. Because I really like what they have, honestly. You got KCP, who's playing out of his mind, just a catch and shoot on Hall of Fame badge. You got, of course, LeBron James. You got Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell. They're pretty stacked, to be honest. They just need to kind of stay healthy and then get the role players on the right track. So I don't think that they should make a move at the deadline, but if they were to, I would probably say give a look to Boogie Cousins.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Ward, you got any thoughts on the Lakers and their struggles thus far?
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to Perry, but man, if you mention Wesley Matthews, who got 0 points in 26 minutes the other night. That bum. No,
Hey, you proving my point. He needs AD and Schroeder to go chill out so he
yeah.
can get some shots up.
No. Whenever you're like, it's a good opportunity for them to get the other guys. I'm like, you know what? It's a good opportunity for the management to realize whoever came back. Go ahead and just.
Hey, that's the flip side of it. That's the flip side. I wasn't gonna say nothing about that side, but hey,
No,
you said it, not me.
I think that, like the reason why I always said I like college better is because I felt like, the regular season mattered a lot more in college. Just for seeding and different things like that. And then the excitement of each game and conference play and stuff like that. But I think that we know that at the end of the day, the Lakers are going to be one of the top 2 seeds, more than likely the 1 seed. And, Anthony Davis is going to be back. And in the 7-game series, even though this whole home court advantage type thing is up in the air with how many people can be in the stadiums and stuff like that, I still think that we know that they're going to probably be in the Western Conference Finals. So, it's just something to talk about right now. That's all it really is. And just so you know, if the Warriors squeak in at 8 or 7 and end up playing a Jazz, that's upset central in the first round on everything.
Hey, it's 2007 all over again.
Yep, me and Loso talked about it the other day. Upset central, bro. But yeah, no, I think it's smoking. Yep, you stay on that mute button, my guy. You stay on it.
Yeah, no, I'm doing stuff. I'm moving around. I don't want y'all to hear it. All right. So speaking of the Jazz are the number 1 seed as it stands right now in the West. 25-6 record, 9-1 in their last 10. This is, they're playing really great basketball, right? And it definitely as of right now, right? Like we have to see how the season plays out. But you got Shaq talking about, hey, I just wanted to motivate you, Donovan. I don't think we got what it takes. You got him getting on Donovan, and right now the team is playing really good basketball. However, we've seen this story before, especially from smaller market teams that have this magical regular season run doesn't pay off in the playoffs. So I want to ask Perry, are the Jazz just the 2015 Hawks reincarnated? And when I say that, I don't mean in terms of style of play. I mean, just in terms of the storyline, right? 2015 Hawks with Al Horford, was it Jeff Teague? And I don't know if Joe Johnson might have still been there, or he might have moved on to Brooklyn at that point. But you had this team that makes this run, that the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and then it was all for nothing, right? So are they just a reincarnation of that team from a storyline perspective of, okay, good run, but when the NBA Finals come around, we're going to be looking at the Lakers or the Clippers?
I think it all depends on Donovan Mitchell. He seems like he's really ready to take off, and it's clear with how they've been playing throughout this beginning of the season. But I think only time will tell. I really can't say. Now, I will say that I'm still picking the Clippers, Lakers, or whoever over them right now. But it's just going to be one of those things that we have to see. But we can't pretend like they are not one of the best teams in the league right now, because they're definitely playing like it. So time will tell. I can't really, put a pinpoint if they're going to be one of those teams that are just going to buzz, but we'll see.
I hear you. Yeah, and I think for them getting that number 1 seed, at least not even from a storyline perspective, but just from a seeding and path to the Western Conference Finals is going to be crucial for them, right? Because then you're going to have likely the Lakers and the Clippers locking horns in the second round, right? So you avoid one of the LA teams until that West Finals, and then if what happens if AD gets hurt again? What happens if something happens to one of the Clipper stars and LeBron? So playing great basketball and being able to carry that into the second half and maybe get that number 1 seed, I would definitely be gunning for that, just from, like I said, from a seeding standpoint and matchup standpoint. But Ward, what you think about the Jazz, man? You think, are they for real, or is this just a nice story?
No, yeah, I think it's just a nice story. I don't even see them beating the Nuggets if they meet up with the Nuggets in the playoffs. So I just yeah, I'm just not sold on them, man. I'm just not sold on the Jazz. I haven't watched a whole lot of them. I got League Pass. I'll be watching a lot of the games and stuff like that, but I haven't watched a whole lot of them. Now they start here in about an hour, so we're gonna tune in to this Lakers Jazz game. I'll be glued to that, and I might have a different opinion of them maybe tomorrow. But yeah, I still think they're probably fourth or fifth best team in the Western Conference when it comes down to like the playoffs and like how I would like if I was to do like odds on winning, basically like Vegas odds or whatever, I'd have them at fourth or fifth.
I think don't take too much away from that Jazz Lakers game just because playing in Utah, no AD. I'm not sure if they have Schroeder back yet, so I wouldn't take too much from that game. I would still probably have the same perspective on them that I have right now. But another reason why I feel like they're doing the best is because they had the least amount of change over the offseason, the short offseason. Every other team was making moves. They had the exact same team, so not having a training camp and a preseason, it really didn't affect them. They just kind of continuing on with their last season. So I think that's a big reason why they are the number one seed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point about them not having a lot of turnover, right? Because I think did they already had Bogdanovich, right? He just was hurt and didn't play in the bubble last year. Right. That's what it was. Okay. Yep.
I'm not a Quinn Snyder fan either. He's a good guy, but I'm not a big Quinn Snyder fan.
I mean, but again, like that's the thing, right? Like that's why I make that comparison between them and the Hawks because Mike Budenholzer, obviously, he's a really good coach. I think they differ from the Hawks in that the Jazz have a bona fide like if we need a bucket, right? We're going to put the ball in Donovan Mitchell's hands and he can make something happen. Whereas the Hawks, matter of fact, I should stop disrespecting them and actually go look at their roster from 2015. But I mean, like you said, like you talked about Al Horford, like Al Horford's not striking 2015. Al Horford is not striking fear into anybody's hearts, and like that's again, no disrespect.
Didn't they have what's the name? Josh.
No, Josh Smith was out. He might have been in Detroit or even out of the league by that time. Right. Like I'm looking at their squad, like it's Al Horford. They got Kyle Korver, Paul Millsap. They had Dennis Schroeder, Jeff Teague. Like, if the game is tight, who is going to get you a bucket? Out of those names, who's getting you a bucket?
Right.
And so yeah, like it just yeah. No disrespect, but no, I think that's the. Say that again.
I was about to say that, and that question was answered. Who's going to get you a bucket? That was answered when they went against the Cavs because LeBron was getting all the buckets. So
yeah,
facts. But let us know what y'all think about the Utah Jazz, man. Do they got what it take to at least get to the Western Conference Finals? Ward, I want to ask you one final question on the Jazz. You said you would slot them fourth in the West in terms of if you had to put odds on it.
Yeah, Clippers, Lakers, and the Nuggets probably are the top three to me.
Man, the Nuggets are too inconsistent for me. And talk about continuity. They lost a big piece, and yeah, I mean, but I think they got to get there. They got to get there, right? They're a 7th seed. They're a step away from being in the playoff game, or in that play-in scenario.
The 7,
so,
8, 9?
It's 8. It is 8, 9. I think 8, 9, 10, 11.
It's 7.
I think
7, 8, 9, 10.
11. It's 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, it's 7, 8, 9, 10. My bad. So they're in the play-ins thing, and it's just like listen. No one is a bigger Jamal Murray guy than me, right? Like I've hashtag top 10 bucket getter in the league. Like that was me all during the bubble. You know what I'm saying? When he was just dropping 50 and 45 and 38 back, like
bro, they like MVP on their team right now, man.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get to that before we close out the show about top 3 MVP picks. But I don't know. Like they lost not Jerry and Grant, that's the brother. Jeremy Grant. They lost Jeremy Grant, who's doing his thing. I mean, okay, they could make the All-Star game, but he's one of those honorable mention guys, right? The way he's playing this year. But they're missing him because he was so indispensable, not only defensively, but then his ability to kind of be that role player that could get a bucket for him when they needed it. And yeah, I'm a Michael Porter Jr. guy. I still think he can be a star, but man, I don't know if it's gonna. at least in Denver. I don't know if that's going to be in the cards for him. Jokic and Murray.
Hey, not having Jeremy Grant, not having Mason Plumlee, and then also Torrey Craig, and then Jamal Murray's been in and out of the lineup with injuries. They facing a lot, but it's gonna come down to consistency for them in the playoffs. But Jokic, we know what he gonna do every night. Like you said, we gonna get to that later, but we'll see if they got it in the playoffs. That's when we gonna see who's who.
Yep.
You got the pretenders and you got the contenders, and we'll see that in the playoffs.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump to the Eastern Conference, man. Let's talk about, I think the team we can agree that is playing the best basketball right now, Brooklyn Nets. I'm still curious to see how this all plays out in the end, in part because they haven't played a lot of games together, right? Like KD's been out, Kyrie's been out. So I want to start by asking you, Perry, like, how concerned are you about KD's, I believe it's his hamstring, right?
Right.
So how concerned are you about his hamstring and whether or not, that's going to be able to hold up in the second half and for this playoff push?
I'm not worried at all. I think at this point in his career, and especially after what he's been through over the past few years, they're going to take great precaution. And as long as I'm not sure if it's on the same leg as the last injury, but I just think that they're going to take their time with him. And in the meantime, I think James Harden and Kyrie Irving are going to get real acclimated, because I think their records when it comes to, like, if they're playing with just one other star instead of the other two stars, all three of them together, it's usually like 8-2 or something like that for almost each duo. So those three guys, they're gonna get it together, just because it's gonna come down to. Can you hear me?
You good? No, you good. Yeah, you good.
I think in the playoffs, it's just gonna come.
I need to switch to Google Fiber.
Yeah, it's you. It's you. Go ahead, man.
When it comes to the playoffs, it's just gonna come down to those three guys just wanting it. They have so much talent. It's just gonna come down to those three guys just wanting it. I was thinking that it's gonna be very important for their depth to be in play, but I know that rotation is usually shortened when it comes to the playoffs, and you're probably gonna have one of those guys out on the court at all times. So it's just gonna come down to seeing, can they get defensive stops very timely at certain points in the game. So I'm not really worried about them or KD's injury. It's just gonna be a matter of them staying healthy and also buying into what Coach Steve Nash is trying to put out there.
Yep. Your thoughts on KD and whether the injury is gonna hold him back?
Nah, I don't think so. And I personally, I know this sounds weird, but like I'm kind of like watching them play, and I'm like, man, like, is there really enough shots for all three of them? Like, I think on this whole West Coast tour that they've been on, they were 5-0, 6-0. I think they beat the Kings last night, 6-0. In the last 6 without KD, and ever since Kyrie's basically said, like, yo, James Harden, you're the point guard, just let me do what I do. Like, he's played so much more free. Kyrie, he's incredible. So like I'm not too worried about them. I'm more so worried just the chemistry of them. How many games can they all get together? And then when it comes down to it, like in the playoffs, like, who's taking those shots? Is the ball sticking? Is anybody looking around? If the shot's missed, is Harden over here on the wing, getting back on D, like just those pivotal plays, like you said, like locking down D and making sure that those situations that they're kind of, a cohesive unit or whatever. But as of right now, all they need is 2 of them to probably keep the 1 seed and stay, in the driver's seat in the East. Outside of Philly, I don't really think that they have much competition out there.
I think the most pivotal game that let me know what type of team they were was when against the Los Angeles Clippers a few weeks ago. And it came down to the last few plays, and they were able to get stops. And then they also learned from the previous game when they had made that mistake against the Wizards and who was throwing in the ball and all that type of stuff. So it lets me know that they're learning on the fly. And as long as they continue to do that, they should be all right when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask this about Harden. So So I know Kyrie went to him and said, "Hey, you're the point guard now," which is very gracious of Kyrie to give up, the burden of having to actually get others involved. They're very humanitarian. But they talked a lot about Harden, and he's not taking as many shots, right? He's kind of changed his style of play. Like, am I tripping, or could Harden have played like this in Houston? Like, couldn't he have played like this with not being as dominating and getting other people involved, or am I tripping on that?
I think even though he is an assistant coach on the coaching staff, Mike D'Antoni is, I think it's kind of different with philosophies as far as Steve Nash believes in, because he seems to believe in more like off-ball backdoor cuts. It's more Steve Kerrish to me. And I really like how he has their offense moving. He doesn't really draw up too many plays. Now, when it was Mike D'Antoni in Houston, it was a lot of pick and roll, and we're going to just keep dribbling this, and then hopefully everybody collapses, and we're going to kick it out to P.J. Tucker in the corner or Eric Gordon for a three. So it's different to me, and I think that James Harden probably wanted to do it, but he understood not only the talent that he had on his team, but also, what Mike D'Antoni was trying to put out there, because it seems like James Harden is so good that he's going to be good no matter what system he's in. So I think it just depends on who's the head coach of what type of offense he's going to be running.
Yep. You back,
Okay.
A1?
All right. So any other? Yo.
You just got a little lag. You just got like a little 2-second lag, but you're good.
Yeah. I need to switch to Google Fiber. And my days with AT&T are coming to an end.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead. So my internet hopefully doesn't fail. Say what?
You got that Luka Doncic internet. Like, it runs at its own pace. Your internet at its own pace.
Hey, y'all really some rappers, man, to be coming up with bars like that. Got that Luka Doncic. Hey, let me tell y'all this though. When I first started doing those interviews, I did my first one. It was with Chris Miles from NBA TV, and I ain't gonna say no names, but I was on this one phone connection, all right, and I was on 5G doing whatever I could. Mind you, I'm new to the game when it comes to doing these lives and yada yada yada. So I do the interview, and the connection is terrible. To this day, I have not reposted a single thing from that video. It's because you would never see me. All you see is a caramel blur. Just you see forehead. And every time I say something, I'm still over here and all that type of stuff. So after that, I switched phone connections, and I've been great since. So that connection move, that's something serious. I promise.
Yep.
Bruh. I'm gonna watch this back, and I'm gonna be like, oh my god. All right. So let's go and jump into the last topic. Y'all let us know what y'all think about the Brooklyn Nets. Are they we know they're title contenders. Actually, I'll ask y'all just real quick, yes or no. Nets in the finals. Nets will represent the East in the finals, yes or no, Perry?
Yes.
Ward, you shook your head, affirmative. Okay. Yeah, I'll ride with that for now. I need to see how Philly what Philly does. If they try to see if they can add any more pieces, they try to see if they can go get JJ Redick if the Pelicans decide to cut him loose, or if they can try to get him for some, expiring contract or something. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But speaking of Embiid, let's jump into this final topic. Let's get into this MVP talk. I chopped the list down to only a top 3 for a reason, because I want you to make some hard choices and really put some thought into who at the midway point, who is leading the race for MVP. So Ward, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have right now, top 3, starting at 1 and going to 3, as you're at the halfway point? Who's your top 3 MVP picks?
Mine is the Joker, Embiid, and Curry. That's my top 3 right there. And I got Curry at number 3 biasly. So
why biasly?
Because I mean, I don't I mean, he's obviously, like, in the last month and a half or whatever, I don't know if you remember after the first 4 or 5 games of the year, we were like, yo, why do they keep putting the Warriors on national television? Like, this is not like we were upset. You know what I mean? And like Curry was like, don't worry, I got y'all. I'll make sure that and like he's just kind of like really just hit a stride, I think, recently. But yeah, I think the Joker and Embiid right now, and it's weird to say that in like a in a non-big man league, to say those two guys who are probably the two best big men. But yeah, I would probably have both of them right now.
All right, Perry, how about you? Who you got? Top 3 picks.
All right, give me a second. I got some explanations behind this. All right. So number one, I got Embiid. We can't understand what he's been doing in Philadelphia. Him buying into what Doc Rivers is preaching and the culture that he's building over there. He has Embiid playing MVP caliber with these amazing numbers, alongside playing with his point guard Ben Simmons, who's not a shooter at all in a shooters league. So mind you of that. But I can't understate what he's been doing out there, especially what I've been watching, the inconsistency that we've seen from Joel Embiid. He looks like a totally different player. So that's my number one. Number two, I got to go with Jokic. Every game, I promise, I say what a pass 5 times a quarter, not a game, but 5 times a quarter. I'm always like, man, how did he see that? What a bounce pass! What a no look! He got Diamond Hall of Fame, so I definitely got Jokic number 2. Number 3, I got my boy Dame Dollar. And yes, there's a little bit of bias in that, but mind you, he's doing all this. He's being successful without CJ McCollum, without Yusuf Nurkic, without Zach Collins. He's got Rodney Hood coming back from a major injury. He just got all these things that he's dealing with, and he still has them as top 5 seed in the Western Conference. Western Conference is always clogged like a nose in the wintertime. So remind you of that. So I got Dame Dollar as 3rd. Curry would be in my 3, but I'm a big believer that there should be a comeback player of the year award, and I feel like he's more fit for that. Just because we don't know if they're going to be in the playoffs or not, because of the West being so tough, and they still got to play that play-in game. No Klay Thompson. You got to be concerned about how well Kelly Oubre is playing, and also all the other guys. Is Draymond healthy? So I feel like Curry's having an amazing season, and he's definitely putting up MVP numbers. He's arguably playing better than he did in his MVP seasons, just because of the load that he's had to carry. But I feel like he's more fit for an award, like a comeback player of the year award.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely respect that. And you actually just changed my mind on one of my picks. So I definitely appreciate your perspective there. I agree with you. I have Joel Embiid right now as the leader of the pack going into the All-Star break. Like you said, I think with MVP, I think you have to reward perseverance, but I think you also reward winning. Like we talked about that earlier about when you're talking about All-Star, right? Winning has to factor into it. And I think right now, best record in the East. If they finish with the number 1 seed, or if they finish as a number 2 seed, and they're like a couple of games behind Brooklyn, I think and especially if he continues on the pace he's on, 32-11 right now. So I mean, which is crazy numbers. And I think I heard a stat that no player has, like, if he pulls this off, he would be the first player since Karl Malone, I think, to pull off a 30-point and an excess of 10 points. So 30-11, actually. So if he does that, he'll be the first player since Karl Malone, I think, in his MVP season, and I think it was at 98, where to pull off a 30-11 in a year. So I think you got to reward him for being number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with LeBron, man. I think LeBron has been, granted, this last, come on now. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I think he's been playing really, really well, man. I think he's playing high-level basketball. I want to stay out of this whole Tom Brady. Look how old he is, yada, 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 and bring his age into it. Because I think that's a lazy narrative. I think that's lazy talk. But I think the dude has been playing really incredible these last 5 games aside. He's been playing really, really good basketball. And lastly, you made me change my mind because I had Steph. And I do think that if they end up as a 6 seed, he might, and he kind of stays on this. He's already matching his numbers from his MVP run in 2018. If he can keep up this level of play and he gets out of that play-in territory, he gets to that 6 seed. We already saw a precedent with Russell Westbrook getting an MVP despite not winning 50 games, despite being a sub-4 seed, being a 6 seed. You might see, because he's likable too, because it's Steph, it's the Warriors, he might steal that thing, especially if the Sixers start to fall back a little bit, especially if the Nuggets, like, I got a lot of respect for Jokic. You know, like I'm 6'2", you know, but all my life I had to play big man. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'm not nearly the gifted passer that Jokic is. But, you know, I used to call myself Fat Boris Diaw, right? Like, I do a little bit of everything. I can pass a little bit. I can, you know, in rare instances, I can lead a break, you know. So, again, like, I respect Jokic's game. I love Jokic's game. I love watching him play. The Nuggets are one of my kind of, like, league pass favorites to watch when they're not on national TV. But, man, you're 17 and 14. You know, like, you're in play. Right now you're a play-in team. And you just have to be better than that. I understand what you're saying about the losses, like we talked about continuity, losing Murray. I mean, Murray in and out of the lineup, losing Torrey Craig, losing Grant, right? Losing Mason Plumlee, which whoever thought a Plumlee brother would be, you know, kind of key to your team's success. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, man, I just think I can't rock with it, man. I can't rock with it. So if they can get back to like a 4 seed, I could definitely see Jokic being a guy to steal that. Why no love for my LeBron at number 2 though?
Yo, so who's your number 3? You said it was gonna be Steph.
It's Dame.
Oh, it's Dame. Okay.
Like when he just brought about, and I saw somebody tweet that the other day about he should be getting more love for what he's doing and the run that they're on currently with all the pieces that they're missing. And I mean that. Who's the quote unquote dark horses like Harden? Like Harden, can he get there? Obviously, Bradley Beal's not going to get there because they're not going to win enough games. But Bradley Beal could get scoring champ, right? I mean, he could possibly. Yeah. I think Harden is going to get, if they continue, which to me he shouldn't because of how he acted in Houston. Like I can't get you can't show up out of shape. You know, you can't show up looking like me. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, not playing, he getting into it with people and then get the MVP. That's just me.
Yeah.
What you think? Do you think?
I was about to say, I think the dark horse for me, just because of how much love he's getting, he's starting in the All-Star game, and there's an argument for him not being a starter. I would probably say Luka. If they find a way to go on a run, and Kristaps Porzingis comes back healthy and he's able to contribute and they start winning some games, I think Luka, he's going to be one of the favorites because, for one, he was already one of the favorites coming into the season. So if he starts putting some numbers and more game winners together, then he's going to definitely be a dark horse.
Yep.
7-3 in their last 10.
Yep.
All right, cool, man. So let us know what y'all think. I'm gonna hold off on that last topic, Perry. I'm gonna bring you back because we're gonna be talking NBA as we go through the rest of the year. So I definitely want to get you on that last topic. But we're gonna call it a show for tonight. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in on Facebook. Shout out to the shadow producer, Tavita. Me and him have conversations in DMs, having conversations about topics and different things. So shout out to the homie Tavita. He said the Warriors are still, what do you say? Warriors are still the business, still one of the better teams. We'll see. But shout out to everybody who watched on whether it was Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube. Once again, you can find every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for Brains and Bars. Please rate, review, and subscribe. The more you do that, the more people who get to see this show or hear this show. You can check us out on YouTube by searching at Brains and Bars. And you can catch us on Periscope, Facebook Live. Once again, if you catch us on a live airing, please share and like the broadcast, no matter the platform you're on. We greatly appreciate it. Go to iamaward.com for everything battle related, merch related, music related. everythingloso.com. Kings versus Queens 2 coming up. Him versus Vixen. I did say everythingloso.com. And so once again, I want to thank our special guest, Perry Randle III. One more time, plug your social media where people can find you, man.
It's at P Randle III PRADD. All right, I can't even say my own handle. Give me 1 second. It's at P Randle PRADANDLE III. It'll be somewhere. Y'all find it. It's somewhere out there.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you coming on with this. Like, we're going to definitely have you on again as we get later into this NBA playoffs and the finals. So we appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much for coming on. Until next time, it's been a black
and white
thing. I appreciate y'all. We'll holler at y'all next week, man.
Appreciate y'all.